On today's episode of Chronicles of a Nigerian Woman, I'll be reading Iyua's story. I had a dream as a young woman to get married early, have 2 children immediately, and devote time to them until they were old enough to start school, and then pick up my career and run with it till I became very successful. It was a simple plan in which everyone was a winner, in my opinion. My children got their mother to raise them in their early years, and I got time to build my career as a banker. I loved banking because I liked how the women in banking dressed and became uber rich. That was exactly how I pictured myself. Guess what? I got my dream. I got into the university at the age of 17, and I threw myself into my academics. I wasn't a complete bookworm, but my personality wasn't very outgoing. And so I read novels, spent time with my friends, but my main focus was my academics because I had a goal. I studied banking and finance, and I graduated top of my class with a second-class upper degree at the age of 21. I got recruited from school into an investment company in the times when companies could recruit you to carry out your youth service with them. I had met Cyril in my 3rd year. He was a final year geology student and in line for a first class. He was 3 years older than me and very serious-minded. We started dating almost immediately because he fit the kind of profile I wanted. He got recruited by an oil company immediately after he finished. So by the time I finished my youth service, he had been working for almost 2 years and he was earning very well. We met each other's families and got their approval. We got married a year after I finished my service, when I was just turning 24. I got pregnant immediately and I resigned from my job as soon as my maternity leave was over. My baby was 6 months when I got pregnant again, just the way I wanted it. I had a boy first and then a girl. I could not have hoped for better. I stayed at home with my children, and in the meantime, I took professional exams in banking and financial analysis. It was tough raising the toddlers and taking professional exams, but I needed to be ready to return to work once the children were in school, and so I had to make it work. We hired 2 domestic helps to assist me with the children and housework, and that helped a great deal. I homeschooled my children till they were ready to get into primary school at the age of 5. Once my daughter started school, I started putting out applications for work. I was 30, and with my qualifications and the bit of experience, I got a job within 6 months. In fact, I had 3 offers. My first workplace wanted me back, and I got offers from 2 commercial banks, one of the very old ones and a newer generation one. I took the latter because I wanted to be in core banking. And of course, I preferred the ambience and pay package of the newer bank. Everything was working in my favor, and I was doing great at work and putting in my best and getting promotions. I didn't spend so much time with my family, but at least my children were old enough to speak up, and I got teachers to engage them after school in extracurricular activities. I was 36 when I fell ill and had to be taken to the hospital. It had started lightly, and I took some medication, but after a couple of weeks, it got worse, and I could not get out of bed or keep any food down. The doctors ran tests and found out that I was 8 weeks pregnant. How? I could not believe it. I had been using an IUCD since I had my second child, and I made sure to have it checked regularly. How could this have happened? I was grief-stricken, literally. I told my husband, and he tried to console me. I could not have an abortion. I hated them, and I was scared of them too. Moreover, I could not live with the guilt of wondering what could have become of the child. I became listless and I refused to take care of myself during the pregnancy. Secretly in my heart, I hoped that something would go wrong and I would have a miscarriage. But I was still in for a greater shock when I had a scan a few weeks later and was told I was carrying twins. At that point, I became even more upset. How did I go from having 2 children to having 4? What would happen to my career dreams? Would I put my life on hold for another 5 years? I was sad and inconsolable. It felt horrible to be crying over something that other women were paying millions to have, but no one seemed to understand my perspective. I decided not to take a decision until the children were born. I would just take things one day at a time. I spoke with my doctor about having an elective cesarean section and having a tubal ligation during the procedure, and he agreed. I had identical twin boys, and the procedure went as planned. Because the babies were twins, it was tough to keep up with work, but I decided to fight through. I got a crèche near my office and I continued working. Even though I felt I was not giving my child enough care, my drive and passion to succeed on my job was much greater, and so I made things work as best as I could. Then, the worst happened when the twins were 11 months old. I can't explain how it happened, but I found myself pregnant again. By this time, I was convinced that God was against me. I had done everything I could, and yet this. I read every material I could about tubal ligation failure. The only explanation I could guess at was that there was a surgical error during the procedure. I thought of suing the hospital, but the idea seemed absurd in Nigeria. I was angry and I slipped into depression over the next few months. I was crying all the time and I could not function at work. I felt bitter against my husband. How did his life get to continue normally while mine was disrupted frequently? My mother-in-law had to come and stay with us for a few months when I could barely function, and my job gave me my accumulated leave plus 8 weeks of sick leave because I was not able to work anymore. I was referred to see a therapist, and speaking with her helped me a great deal. With her help, I determined that the best thing would be for me to quit work and find something else to do where I could control my time. After thinking about it, I decided to set up my own financial advisory consultancy. I had been giving financial advice to my friends for free anyway. I figured I could start out some kind of private investment portfolio and see what it would grow into. My pregnancy was 6 months when I quit my job in preparation for my baby's arrival. I needed to prepare mentally too. That was how I went from being a mother of 2 to a mother of 5. My husband and I decided that he would get a vasectomy done as double protection against a future reoccurrence. I had another cesarean section and my tubes were recauterized. My littlest son is 8 years old now. My consultancy business is growing, and I even get invited to speak at events for professionals. I'm not where I hoped I'd be, but I've learned that I can't control everything, and that when life throws us curveballs, we have to adjust to make allowances and be ready to take a detour. Becoming a toddler mom all over again has been very tough on me, emotionally and physically. But I've learned to be grateful for every gift. I love my children and I try my best to be present for them in every way. I can only say, man proposes, but God has his way. What do you think about Iyua's situation? going from a mom of 2 to a mom of 5? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Remember to like this video, to share it with somebody who will find it useful, and definitely remember to subscribe to my channel. Till I come your way again next time. Ciao!